Good evening, folks. This is Dr. Kazoo speaking of the weather. I hate to interrupt your regular schedule. Kazoo here with the weather bulletin update. MSNBC and I have just came to an agreement today. What's going to be happening next week out in the west coast on the western slope of the United States? The major developing storm is going to develop, and it's going to be moving eastward all next week into the east coast, Friday and Thursday on into next weekend here. It has the potential of bringing 2 to 4 feet of snow in Pennsylvania next week. Like we told you before, we have this boiling water down south. It's moving northward over the Great Lakes, okay? Well, then, also, we have that cold Arctic air that's in place there over Canada right now. What's going to happen, this could be like hurricane strength. The storm will be like a level 8. The hurricane strength of the storm will be settled over Pennsylvania next weekend. Be advised, updates will be given to you this weekend on this, so it's going to be developing. If anything does develop next week, pay close attention to all your weather forecasts and see what's going on in your folks, when these storms move east into Pennsylvania, you got the Pocono Mountains and you got the Laurel Mountains. The Laurel Mountains are 38,000 feet, where the Pocono Mountains are 68,000 feet. And here again, like thunderstorms and hurricanes or tornadoes, everything else that hit Pennsylvania this past year, okay, snowstorms, winter nor'easters or snowstorms do the same thing. They can bounce back in these mountains. In a place where they would be calling for 1 foot of snow, you would end up with 2 to 3 feet of snow. Because if these storms can come in, race across the East Coast like they did all summer with the thunderstorms. Now the snowstorms can do the same thing. When they come up to the south and they get in these mountains, they bounce back and forth and stall. So just keep that in mind, folks. What's going on, what's going to be happening. Could be a lot of snow this year, especially next week. Kazoo. And what happened today? This storm that went through, these high winds we had today, around this area they were anywhere from 30 to 50 mile an hour. But up around Erie, Pennsylvania, they clocked them at over 100 mile an hour off the lakes up there. What happened is this storm, when it came up from the south, when it came up through Pennsylvania and hit that cold Arctic, the low and the high mingled like a hurricane force. It spun around and picked up a lot of moisture off Lake Erie, which added to the wind speed on this, okay? Now, what did happen here is this hurricane force storm is off the East Coast now, and it was going to be allowing this other storm to develop in the Midwest and come marching east next folks. A few snowflakes falling. I'm actually here and I feel a couple flakes coming down on me here. So it's coming. It actually is. It's that time of year again, people. You know, and get ready for it. It could be a real nasty winter ahead of us, store for us here this winter. Thank you very much. Dr. Kazoo signing out. Good afternoon, folks. Kazoo here on this Memorial Day weekend. Beautiful day today in western Pennsylvania here, although there's some thunder showers will be coming into the area later on tonight. We were at Racetown Lake yesterday, and we found out some interesting things about that. Some people think there's something in the lake we call Racetown Ray, which, although I've never seen it, could be actually true out there. Now, another thing about that lake. What I found out yesterday out there, some of our founding forefathers, like Roosevelt and some others, had part of that lake back in the early times of our lives when they built that lake. And also about Racetown, which is really nice, is the water, okay, it's like 2 miles deep. And this is very interesting. It's 2 miles deep, and there's actually people go on it, which is amazing, okay? Now, if that lake, whatever, break loose or dam, you call it out there, it could actually put about 5 feet of water through all of Pennsylvania. That's how much water's in it. Now, another thing too interesting about Racetown, if that ever would break out there, you could actually find where parts of New York, parts of Florida, like the East Coast area, a lot of the effect is really a massive flooding from Racetown. It's all interesting. Although seeing out there yesterday, that place was so jam-packed, they were actually turning people away. They had no place to park them. That's how many people were out there. It was a beautiful day out there. The temperature is probably around 85, 90 degrees. I'd say in the upper 80s it was. Very easily. It was a very nice day out there, and so on. Well, what I'm wearing today, this is a little bit different. This is my Kazoo weather helmet, which nobody else could actually have or make or anything like that. Especially designed, I'm not saying by who. It's designed especially for me and nobody else. I'm going to be using this in the future for the most accurate forecast that we could ever give you. This is amazing how this thing is. Well, anybody thinks this is a toy, folks, was actually, yes, these are like strings you can actually pull to activate each thing on here. There's many satellites on here to give you the most accurate forecast for you people to have out there, which is very interesting about this. We're testing it now to make sure everything's working fine on it, but we're using it today to make sure everything's working on it. Kazoo signing off. Okay, we just been advised there. Also, they're issuing like a flash flood watch, okay, for like a warning. For like Somerset County, Fayette, these kind of Westmoreland, Indiana, places like that. Probably later on this afternoon tonight, with large hail coming with these nice sized hail, maybe about this size, coming with these thunderstorms, folks. So you know what to do if these do not be under any metal, under trees or nothing in that nature. Be indoors, keep it safe. You know, a routine to do. Dr. Kazoo signing off. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Kazoo back again, wishing you a happy weather day again. I gotta admit, this is the wildest winter I've ever seen in Pennsylvania. Myself, living here in western Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, being out here with like a sweatshirt and a jacket on in the winter. We usually have like layers of sweaters and coats and everything else. It's a pretty wild winter. A lot of it is, though, you have a jet stream that has been coming down in the western and cutting across into the northern states, with your colder air and your moisture air and the conversion zones, like we told you. As that's what's basically been happening a good bit of the winter. And the way this magnetics and everything's been set up, this year's been like a little bit different, as you notice, because over here in the East Coast, we really haven't had any storms right up the coast like we always get every winter, because our nor'easters that we have, because the jet streams, the way the magnetics, induction, and everything in place, as you can see, has what's kept it going this year a lot different than last year. And that's like we told you last time, because you had the North Pole switching the degrees west, we told you, and the South Pole switching caused a lot of stuff. And also a lot of stuff's been going on up around the sun too. We're doing some investigating, seeing there's like a lot of the small explosions and different things going up. It's been happening this winter just like last summer it did. And that's playing a lot of role in the atmosphere right now with the weather and everything goes on. People say, no, when something goes up around the sun, it wouldn't affect us. But yes, it does, because we're connected into the sun. As you can see, every day you wake up with a yellow thing in the sky, you see it's real bright. That's the sun, which everybody knows. And it has a lot to do with the weather, believe it or not. Plus everything else down here. This boiling water effect, everything we told you in the past has a lot to do with it too. That's still going south, and that's tied into the warm, moist flow that's still going south. And like what you just seen, like in Pennsylvania this past weekend here in the last couple of days, we had high winds in other states here. There's very powerful jet stream that was cold coming across, and it was very powerful pushing up, and you had like, it caused everything, all your high winds and everything. And that's what's, you know, there's very strong systems. It's very strong in the south, it's very strong in the north here. And a lot of things to look at too, like we talked to the elevations out here in the western states, 168,000 feet elevation in the mountains, like we did, like, and a lot of things go on. And we talked before in the past here about Mount Davis, the volcano there, Mount Helen, these volcanoes out here like that, and stuff just comes up. The lava and everything comes out of these volcanoes, does go into the atmosphere with everything else that's going on up there. And it has a lot to do with the weather, okay, and the storms coming across, the conversion points and everything like that. Moving across here. Yeah, there's a lot going on this year. And we have in Yellowstone Park, there's a corridor that you never hear too much about. That's 50, 60 miles wide. We don't want any of this stuff really erupting. It's very dangerous for all of us, really. We got Mount Rushmore. A lot of the stuff's happening around this stuff right now. It's causing a lot of it. You know, the magnetic induction is a different part of the Earth now than what it was last winter. There's a lot of things are changing in the magnetics of planet Earth into the universe right there. And you still had we told you, here's something very important that we did tell you in the past here that actually did happen, was we actually had the Siberian connection into Alaska this year with the Canadian vortex opening up and all the magnetics coming down. And then they kept, the way the jet stream ran and everything ran, it kept a good bit of this colder air up north. Only like it came down into this country in spurts, you know, just not like it did every other winter, which is a lot different. You know, that's why when Alaska got, I guess, a couple times this year, they got like 170 degrees below zero. Even for those people who are used to living up there, it's quite very dangerous to even think about living in, you know. And
getting 15 feet of snow and then 18 feet on top. I've never really paid too much attention to the weather up there, but I believe I haven't really in the past heard of them really getting 15 feet and then another 18 feet on top of it right after that, making them, there's an awful lot of snow to endure, even up in a place like that where the people are used to living in it, though. And what's going to affect it is going to affect us this spring and summer. Hurricane season can be very wicked when it comes into hurricane season later on in the year. It's not going to give a quota this year on how many hurricanes I think is going to hit the United States. Even if it's one, it could be one of the worst you've ever seen. If it moves up the coast the right way, it can wipe out everything, And your tornadoes this year, okay, your tornadoes this year are going to be dangerous like last year. We had about over 300. We had a good many of them last year. And even if you don't have as many this year, you could have close to last year, but if you didn't have as many this year, they're even going to could even be more severe than what they were in the past. And you're going to see places up in here, New York, Pennsylvania. You might see Chicago. A lot of places that usually don't see tornadoes, you might start seeing them now in the coming spring. And I'm even going stretching out a little bit for this summer. I even really believe now Pennsylvania and New York and some places up here might see a week or two like over close to 100-degree weather this summer, because just like you had in Texas last summer, it sweltered in for a couple of weeks or more. And I'm looking for droughts this summer because, believe it or not, a lot of snow that we usually get, especially on the East Coast and you get the West Coast. And you usually hear like a lot of flooding this time of year and in the spring, and you may not have it this year. And I'm really believing now it's going to mess up the water table along the way here. So we're going to have problems with water this year in some places of drought. And a lot of things are just going on this year. Spring can be very dangerous this year come the weather, And don't be surprised when you see a springtime snowstorm too here, just because this is a very weird winter. Places had even record high temperatures this winter that usually you don't get warm weather in the winter, stuff like that. And there's a lot going on. We have our oil fields. These here are our oil fields down here. So we get to watch a lot of stuff here in our Florida Keys, some stuff in that nature there, and Texas here. It's amazing this winter they had all that flooding after the drought that they had. This past summer and the heat down there, but wasn't enough to straighten out their water table there. But we're going to take a little break now. I really think I still got something's going to brew here. This is a very unstable atmosphere here. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we're back again from a couple minutes here again, folks. Dr. Kazoo again. What we need to do is our boiling water out here in the Atlantic is going up to the north, cutting across the St. Lawrence Seaway here up through Pennsylvania and New York, and it's hitting into these ice glaciers that are moving towards Canada. And they're moving towards Canada now about 5 miles a day. So we're really getting closer into Canada now. So there's going to be a lot of this coming up here, a lot of meltdown. A lot of things are going on here. And we still talk a little about the mountain ranges like we did in the past here. We don't want to keep repeating ourselves all the time, but about the storms coming in, 168,000 feet, can change the storms with the jet streams in a very powerful conversion point here. It can also depend on what way, if a storm goes straight across, goes down to the south. Some of them going to the south. And usually the ones in the past that went down to the south and turning right up the East Coast, but they haven't done it this year. It's like different. They're either going out to sea because that's the way everything's going this year. There's different things in that nature there. And we still have, like we said, that's coming up here. We still got a connection there. So we're going to take a little break again. Well, what I was told in 2006, they were keeping it very quiet. They didn't want people to know. Figured nobody would believe it anyway. There's nothing we can do. You got to be very quiet. People don't care. People don't care. Okay? I look at all that stuff I'm knocking down, stopping from saving this planet. Look what I've been doing since 2005. Does one person give a shit? No. So what? So they'll all find out at the end.
Good afternoon again, folks. Dr. Kazoo here. Looking at the snow here on the ground. We have some areas you have snow and others is all plain grass. We had about 2 inches of snow here on the ground here, but it's melting. It got down to this far here, and this part of the grass has nothing. That's because, if you look up at the sun here, okay, there's radiation called neon radiation that comes off the sun. Now that's what melts the snow. Okay, everybody was wondering, well, the sun melts the snow. I said, sure. But nobody really knows it's the radiation, it's the neon radiation off the sun that melts our snow. Now, some of the mountaintops there from Somerset County, the Laurel Mountains, we had about 2 to 4 inches of snow on the mountaintops here. Here was about 2 inches here. And again, like we said, some of it is melted down to this far already, because slowly as the day moves on here, it's melting the snow. As we look over here in the grassy area, the sun has already melted all the snow that was here, because the way the sun was positioned, the radiation coming off the sun, so it melted the sun. Notice though, in the winter months, football is a very big sport everybody loves. Okay, the main thing is now weather does affect football a lot. Now the cold air, what it'll do to a football, it'll make the football double its size. You always wondered why the kicker always has a hard time kicking it, getting field goals and that. The wind has a lot to do with it, plus the cold air inside the football, which people never realize, that has a lot to do with it too. Even the quarterback passing the football, that also, this cold air, what it does, it makes the football twice the size. Now that's a very interesting fact to know here. That's why a lot of football weather does affect the football. Winter is a lot what it does. All I do is okay. Before you start,
okay,
I'll you to touch it or wear it on my hand, it'll work. This will charge either on the floor or the ground. I can either touch it or wear it on my head, it'll work. Nobody can hack into it, and nobody can mess up the connection I have in Florida with it. This is the ultimate. I would go to the higher authorities and did the work on this to find out for real before I put open my mouth on that. I don't think you are allowed. This was specifically designed for me. I'm not saying I don't think really anybody can have it. Not anybody can use this either. You got to be careful touching this too. Okay, this is specially designed for me. There's people high up in the United States that did it out of Florida. And it's not gonna, I'm not putting them at risk by saying people can have this on it. No, they can't. No, under the sun. No way. Dr. Kazoo signing off. Good afternoon, folks. Kazoo here again. Notice what's on my head here. You say, what the heck does he got? Is that guy sick, or what is it? But actually, no. This is especially designed for me by some good people that did it. What it can actually do is it can help you with the weather. This can actually help me forecast weather for accuracy of the weather, which nobody else has, which is nice. Okay. Now, what all I have to do is like wear it or touch it, and I can probably, it'll generate like forecasts for me if I wanted to, and give me an idea what the weather is, which is good for you. It helps you people out. Okay, which is very nice. Now the forecast this week looks like it's going to be nice in this area. Okay, this into later on this week we'll be getting into the 80s and some nice weather there. We're having a couple of problems with this here. As you can see, minor one here. We have to fix this. A few things, a bug or two in it. Okay, but El Nino's this year. They're starting to move towards Ohio and Pennsylvania. What's going to happen, especially the Ohio Valley, as you know, in the past, okay, the Ohio Valley, in the past, they can get tornadic weather into Pennsylvania. Cut it. Armenia, tell them it's going through Ohio,
Armenia and Pennsylvania. Good, okay, go continue. We'll edit it.
Yeah, you wanted all that part out. Now, we told you in the past, folks, about earthquakes. They could actually happen this year. Now, we are in the season, okay, and probably a few more this year, too. There's a good possibility of it because of where the Armenia is going. And also tornadoes that we're having now. You experience a lot of the severe ones down south. Now, up through Ohio and Pennsylvania, it could be moving into this area, into the summer region. You know, people living in Ohio, you can get some pretty bad tornadoes out there. Expect it this year in parts of Pennsylvania, too. That's what we're expecting this year. Doesn't look like there's anything heavy coming this week, although this past storm was a slow-moving storm and did a lot of damage down south. It left a lot of rain on the east coast. Weather looks good in parts of Ohio this week too. It looks very good. You're going to see weather into the 80s and possibly some places might hit 90 on the east coast, maybe towards Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York. Some areas could possibly up close to 90. There's that possibility. But it looks pretty good this week, folks. All the weather, looks good. No massive rainstorms this week they're predicting on the East Coast. We shouldn't be seeing any. It should be towards Wednesday, starting it into the 80s and towards the Yellow Creek Park. As you can see here, this is a very beautiful lake. We come here a couple times a year. We have an area here over there we can swim on the other side of the lake. It's probably about 30, 40, 50 feet deep in parts. It has a couple loading dock areas in here too on the lake here, pavilions and stuff like that you can put your boats in. It's not a bad place to go if you're in the Pennsylvania area. Coming here like boating just to get away for the weekend. I am King Kazoo. My people, come to me. Give me the knowledge I need to control this world with the weather. Too many forecasters have no clue to what they are doing. I thank you for your help. Give me the knowledge I seek. Thank you. Okay. As I stare into the sun with my eyes wide open. I'm here to help the people of Earth. Folks, Dr. Kazoo here. We hate to interrupt your regularly scheduled programming here on this NBC television network here. We want to bring a very important weather update. What we have going on right now, we have a very cold Arctic air low pressure, which we told you the other day had a potential of being like a hurricane. Okay, these storms have the potential of being have type of power behind them. We have a low pressure below in the Virginias, moving across Virginia here, and pumping a lot of rain off the east coast, which we have all that boiling water, which we talked about before. All this is moving to the north, and what is converging. And we have another low pressure developing down in Florida, which is converging now. What we believe is going to happen here, all three storms are going to converge in the mountains of Pennsylvania, or off the east coast, and flow back into the mountains of Pennsylvania. Now remember what we told you before. The elevations are 38,000 feet in the Laurel Highland Mountains, and 68,000 feet we have in the Poconos there. Now what's going to happen, we believe is going to happen, and will happen, is these two storms, okay, one in the Virginias and Maryland going to Pennsylvania, which is really rare for this time of year. I remember hunting season, it never was like this. Always like maybe the first day you didn't have snow, but usually the second or third day you had like a foot of snow for the hunters, which they're missing this year. But that's what's going to be happening with those storms in Florida. One's going to cross, all three are going to merge on the east coast. Now, northern part of the state and New York and these places will see a lot of snow out of this within tomorrow and tomorrow night. Thank you for the knowledge so the people of this earth can be safe.